Nvidia just lost billions in China sales, yet still posted record-breaking growth. AI demand is so fierce that even a $4 or $5 billion China export hit couldn't slow them down. Data center revenue exploded 73%, margins are rising, and Nvidia is pulling in cash like never before. While the trade war rages, AI's appetite is bigger than borders. Watch the full video, because when you're this big, even a trade war can't hold you back.
Moving forward to thing number 3, this is the reshoring issue. We're talking about Nvidia. They lost billions of dollars in sales due to China export restrictions, but they still just forge ahead. I love the thing here, Gary. It's Nvidia's, and we have surging in the written version, completely strike through, change to relentless growth. And I think that is the perfect word for what we're seeing, just continuous over and over relentless growth from Nvidia.
Yeah, what amazing results from the world's AI chip leader. These guys had to take a $4.5 billion inventory hit due to export restrictions to China. The reason for that is Nvidia makes a special chip for China that complies with U.S. tech export rules. And the truth is they got a little cute with it. That chip has almost the same power as their best chips. But there's nobody who wants to buy that slightly crippled chip. Crippled is probably the wrong word. It's, slightly reduced pass-through capacity. But that was a $4.5 billion hit. The estimate was export restrictions to China cost them $8 billion in revenue. Despite that, the company put up a $44.1 billion revenue quarter, representing 69% growth year over year. Their data center revenue was $39 billion of that, which grew 73% last year. These results exceeded even optimistic analyst projections. And you have to applaud them for the resilience. And, again, we just talked about this in this version of the 5 things. It wasn't that long ago that everybody was convinced DeepSeek was going to throw this whole AI spending hardware trend into reverse, right? We were going to be able to train the LLMs, the large language models, on $50 million of hardware and $6 million of training costs. That is clearly not the case. Data center sales are exploding. Companies are pouring billions of dollars into AI model training. Just a phenomenal quarter by Nvidia, the world leader in this growing field.
Yeah, it's remarkable, Gary. I mean, just looking at the chart, the written version, right? $5 billion in revenue per quarter to almost $45 billion.
Yeah, this is unbelievable.
Quarterly revenue in just 2 years. So, and then Jensen Huang, as CEO, is also arguing that the U.S. Should let Nvidia sell to China, right? I mean, is he just talking his book? Does he have a point? Is that even another further unlock for this stock that just seems to be unstoppable?
So I'm going to say both to that. Is he talking his book? Of course he is. Guy lost $8 billion in sales to China, right? Like, of course he's talking his book. But does he still have a point? Yeah, he actually does. Let's talk about it. He suggested, and he phrased it very carefully, but he basically used the conference call to say, hey, President Trump, these export controls are not successful. They're leading Chinese firms to invest in their domestic alternatives. That's increasing China's AI capability. And the truth is, if China can't access the best chips in the world, and Nvidia does make the best chips in the world, then they're going to have to build their own. Now, are Chinese chips as good as Nvidia's chips? No, they're not. But over time, they'll close that gap. That's what always happens, right? And so what he's saying is, we could sell them the chips and we could own the technology. By not selling them the chips, we are forcing them into a position where they have to learn to produce their own. They're going to create their own domestic alternatives. They're going to increase their own AI capability. And, again, you could say, well, he's talking his book. He doesn't want to see a competitor. Okay, fair enough. But let me ask every American watching this, do you want to see a Chinese competitor to Nvidia? Is that in our best interest? And so I think he's got a really good point. And, let's go to the trade spat that came out at the end of last week, over the weekend. President Trump was claiming that China was not living up to their promises. Remember, it was just a few weeks ago that our two countries agreed to a 90-day stand down on some of the tariffs while they talked things over. Part of that was over the rare earth elements that China exports to the U.S. And part of the deal they made was China has to keep exporting to the U.S. They can't cut us off. And President Trump is claiming that they've reneged on that deal and they're refusing to ship. Now, China's claiming, no, they've lived up to the deal and, whatever. But the point is, China's in a position to dictate that part of the negotiation because they have something that we need. And so I think Jensen Huang has a point. Trying to encourage China's reliance on U.S. suppliers for critical technology might give the U.S. more leverage in future negotiations. Wouldn't we rather be in a position where a president can say, if you don't do what we want, like China's saying, you don't do what we want, we're going to cut off your rare earth elements. Well, what if we were able to say, we'll cut off your AI chips? And somebody might say, well, wait, we just did that. Great, but now we fired that shot and they're working on building their own. So getting them addicted to our product and relying on our product might actually be the better foreign policy move. Now, the truth is this is a complicated issue. I don't know the right answer on it, but I do think that, you're asking, is Jensen Huang talking his book or does he have a valid point? And I'm going to go with both.